People who don't want kids, what are your reasons? Primarily because I don't want the responsibility, the stress, and they're expensive. I enjoy being around kids occasionally for short times, but having one full-time would not be fun for me. I know this is kinda fucked up to say, but I also don't want the risk of having a messed up kid. If I knew the child wouldn't have any major problems beforehand, I would be more willing to have one. I know this is kinda fucked up to say. No, it really isn't. Raising a kid with a disability is a difficult thing. Children with developmental issues are even more a drain on their parents than normal, healthy children are. Parents who raise kids like that deserve a lot of respect. Most of them absolutely did not want their kids to be the way they are, but they have to live life as it is, not as they want it to be. If you choose not to have children because you don't want to handle that type of heartache and stress, that's fine. It's much better than having a kid, than skipping out on your responsibilities because the kid isn't the perfect little angel every parent wants. I understand that. It's kind of a genetic lottery, and you can't really choose what you get. Lots of people who want kids don't consider how they would cope if the child needed extra care. I'll probably get downvoted for this, or attacked. But I feel your second statement. I straight up just don't want to have a mentally or physically deficient kid. I'm not talking like wheelchair-bound, or functioning autism, I'm talking can't move at all, need constant surgeries, low-functioning autism, and just generally a constant source of heartache, pain, stress, and worry, not to mention even more of a money sink. I'd gaff if my kid would be gay, straight, trans, cis, jock, cheerleader, nerd, geek, popular, unpopular, with as long as they are a healthy, normal person, I'd be happy with them. I like money and time in my body. I told my grandmother I can't afford to have kids. She laughed and said back in her day no one worried about whether or not they could afford to have children, they just had them. Then she went back to watching Fox News and complaining about poor folks stuck on welfare because they keep having kids they can't afford. Okay, so to be fair, these were actually two separate incidences, but the hypocrisy is all the same. Add on because the world has too many people in it already and not wanting to pass on shit genes, and this thread is done. I can't even take care of myself. Among the many other reasons, this is one of the ones I feel strongly about. I need so much time to relax and unwind, and I feel like I don't handle stress well at all. I genuinely think I'd have a psychotic break if I had to be on 24/7. I can relate. If taking care of yourself properly is too hard to do, then it's too much of a responsibility to take care of someone with more needs than you and to sort yourself out. I'm not particularly active, but I'm not unhealthy. My lifestyle is though. Exactly this. I'm depressed, can barely pay my bills. And secondly, I actually don't like kids that much. I'm 30 old and people are often so bewildered when I tell them I just don't like kids. I don't know how to talk to them and their little sticky hands creep me out. I don't want kids in the same way I don't want to move to North Dakota, I have no reason to, and it seems unpleasant from my point of view. I'm still not convinced there's a solid reason we need 2 Dakotas. Some people would say that moving to and living in North Dakota is the best thing they ever did, they can't imagine life without North Dakota. It can be challenging but so rewarding to live there. But would I find the same happiness living there too? I really don't think so. I don't need to try it to be sure. ETA, my first silver. Who knew a comment about North Dakota would get me a silver, but thank you. We enjoy our lifestyle and neither of us has a desire to have kids. It really can be this simple. Exactly. I don't want kids in the same way I don't want wicker furniture or to join a hockey league, there's just literally no inclination. People have trouble wrapping their minds around that. I don't like kids, simple as that. But it's different when they're your own, yeah, I can't get away from them, making my situation way worse. But it's different when they're your own. If I had $1 for every time I'd heard that damned phrase, I'd be set for life and still have enough left over to comfortably provide for a kid. And even if that was true, it's not like it's socially acceptable to change your mind about being a parent. In my opinion, you need a reason to get something, not the other way around. People who don't want a monster truck, why don't you want a monster truck? I don't want to pass on my genes to another person. Being pregnant, giving birth is my #1 biggest fear. But also I just don't want them, the same way I don't want to own my own business or play sports. It's not something that interests me. I don't find taking care of children rewarding the way others do. Yeah, pregnancy seems pretty terrible all around. Being pregnant reminds me of Alien, and I just don't want to go through 9 months of agony. Children consume your life and it's not something I want to trade my current time for. I enjoy my hobbies and I work a 9-to-5 job. I want to travel the world throughout my life. I want money to spend on stupid things that I want. I want money and time to give to others that I feel deserve it or are in need. I'm not maternal, in the general sense. I don't think most babies are cute. I don't want to hold babies. I don't want to care for a baby. I am much happier being in the aunt role. I just don't feel the need for a child. People around me are having children. The population won't dwindle to nothing, that's for sure. My genetics aren't special. I don't care what my boyfriend and I would look like if we created an offspring and that baby looked like us combined. People who want kids can have kids, but there's no reason I need to have kids. My parents' lives won't be less because they don't have grandchildren, and my boyfriend and I won't be lonely in 50 years. My parents' lives won't be less because they don't have grandchildren. I wish I could convince my father of this. He has 2 grandsons from my older sister, but me not having any makes me selfish. To paraphrase the comedian who said this and whose name I've forgotten, I don't want a bunch of unemployed people sitting around my house, eating up all my food. This little fugger here has been staying in my house for 3 months. Not paying the bills, sleeping all day, and he's sucking on my wife's tits. I know people say it's different when it's your own child, but when I think of everyone in my family or among my friends who have had a child, all I see is the time they don't have anymore, the money they've spent taking care of it, and the negative effect it has on their body. Then I look at the kid, who can't do anything for themselves until they're like 10, and even then there's so much they don't know. I guess there just isn't a parental instinct for me. I spent a day with my friends and their kids, ages 1 to 9, this past weekend, and it was difficult to hold a conversation for more than a couple minutes with one of them needing something, hurting themselves, needing mommy's attention. It was great to see them, and they're cute and all, but when my husband and I got home to our quiet house, it was such a relief to be able to talk to each other uninterrupted. In addition, during our conversations my friends kept complaining about how they don't have the time and money to pursue their hobbies c of the kids. No thanks to that. Some people see a child and say, oh what a blessing. I see a child and go, what a prison. Right there with you man. Expensive and annoying. They eat your money and turn it into poop. It isn't so much that I have reasons that I don't want kids. It is that I have never, ever, in my 36 years of life wanted kids. It seems to me that if you have kids, you should probably want them. Have a desire to raise them. I don't. No reason. I just have no want of children. If I had a kid I'd probably emotionally neglect them. That hardly seems fair. So I just won't have any. I just don't want kids. Several reasons. But I think it can be summed up to, I think someone should only have a kid if they're willing and able. If you have a kid just because it's the next logical step or your partner wants one and you don't particularly mind, there's the risk of that kid not being raised with the right level of love and commitment children need. Same with ability. If you can't afford to pay for all the expenses a child accumulates, there's the risk they become deprived. This is just my personal philosophy, though. I'm not going to say anyone who doesn't follow it is a bad parent and is fugging up their child. I don't know shit about kids. I would like to note though that I actually like kids. They're very cute. I don't mind playing with kids and being around them at all. Just don't want one of my own. I've got a case of the gay. Global warming. To me, it would be unconscionable to bring an innocent life into a world where I couldn't guarantee their safety and health for 80+ years. My parents should not have had kids and I am not in the healthiest mental state. I could never pass the burden of being alive to the thing I'm supposed to love the most. I also hear we end up like our parents, so I don't have that going for me. I don't want to become a mombi. It feels like my friends have been totally subsumed by their kids, and I'm just starting to really enjoy my life. I can't just give it up. I'm a big fan of peace and quiet. I have very little faith that the world will still be comfortably inhabitable by the time my offspring grows up. I doubt my capacity to love is sufficient to put up with all the stress my kid would be me through. The fire station might have a new baby after my first sleepless week. I have a few minor genetic issues that I don't think another person needs to deal with. Nothing disabling, but just icing on the raisin cake. My genetic quality is slightly below average, so I'm in no hurry to spread this stuff around. I like having free time, money, a social life, freedom to make spontaneous plans, not having to find a sitter just so I can go to work. I also hate children, so there are many reasons why I don't want kids. Down the line, if I eventually do decide to, I would much rather adopt a child in need that already exists rather than spread the terrible genes my parents gave me. Phew. I don't like other people's poo. I want to finally enjoy my life without being around the toxic people that raised me. It's about time I live for myself and enjoy the time I have. I don't think I'm fit to be a mother. Maybe act as an aunt. Plus, there's so many kids out there that need help, so I'll just travel and help those in need.